Welcome to the shooting show. This week we're with David Virtue north of the border. He's decoying geese for Byron and Devan from South Africa. We're back in the Scottish borders with David Virtue on a 2-day goose shoot. South African guest Devan has already had a taste of goose shooting from a grouse butt during his sporting stay in Scotland, and now he's out for a more traditional shoot from the hide over decoys. The first morning dawns with patchy clouds and a light breeze. It's comfortable weather for the shooters sitting in wait, but will it tempt in the geese? The shooting excursion is set up in the traditional way, with hides behind a basic decoy pattern. The guns tuck in and wait for the action to begin.
If they come right overhead. No. I got that one. How many do you account for, Devan?
2.
For sure? Feel good?
Very good.
Came in nicely there.
Unfortunately for Devan, the geese aren't playing today, and it looks like there'll be no further sport for this session. However, tomorrow's a new day, and the team arrive before first light to help David set out the decoy pattern in anticipation.
I'd say it's going pretty well. We've had some, good reasonable days. A lot weather dependent. Plenty of geese, a lot of geese, but and they seem to have had a good breeding season. They've been, and they're all fit. But I know it's been quite good. We've had a few wins and things like that, and that's helped things. They're just about getting to the end of the stubbles now, and I think they're practically just about going into winter wheat. We've shot an odd one in winter wheat already, and I think they'll go early onto the winter wheat. The crop is looking very good this year and strong, and the stubbles, a lot of them have been ploughed up now with the early harvest. So yeah, it's going very well. No shortage of geese. They're increasing every year. So yeah, good numbers. Again, depending on the year. I mean, most years the first couple of months will be on stubble, October, November. And then later on, as the stubbles get ploughed and they get eaten off, they'll go onto winter wheat. If it's frosty, real frost, they'll be onto grass. If there's surplus potatoes after the harvest, or if it's been a bad potato harvest and there's a lot of wet fields that didn't get lifted, they'll eat the potatoes for a long time. If you've got carrots in your area, you'll get carrots, anything like that. And so through the winter, as the winter goes on, they'll see more and more onto winter wheat and winter barley. Potatoes, and as I say, if it's weather's hard, they'll go onto grass. Often, if it's really frosty, they'll go onto the grass, and they'll spend 2 or 3 mornings on that if it's real hard frost.
Now, one thing we had, which I hadn't actually seen before myself, was we had some barnacle geese coming in.
Yeah.
You can't shoot those here.
No, they're totally fully protected.
Fully protected.
Yeah.
So you really do have to be careful and know what you're shooting.
Yeah.
How can people tell if they're
if they're calling, you can tell them a long way. I mean, they yap like a dog. They call them the hounds of the air, but obviously they're colouring in them, the black and white. But if you hear them yapping, you'll tell them a mile away. But you always just have to be careful, especially at this time of the early year. October, when they're migrating through this area, going through to Solway and that west coast, you'll get quite big batches of barnacles coming through. But they're fairly easy to tell. I mean, really, if you've got an experienced guide there, you should be able to tell what they are. You've got your white fronts here in Scotland as well. You're not allowed to shoot them, but if you're south of the border, in Northumberland there, you can shoot one or two there, and further south you can shoot the white fronts. But yeah, so you really here, you've got your grey lags, your pink feet, and a Canadas as well. There's a few Canadas shot every year, but not so much up here. It's mostly pink feet. That's, you know, I would say 80% of the geese up here are the pink feet.
For people who are new to decoying in geese, have you got a little bit of advice? I know you spend a huge amount of time scouting. Is that really where the key is?
The main thing is the scouting and getting onto the right field and the right part of that. If it's a big field, you want to be in the right part of that field. You don't want to be near any pylons, trees. To be honest, you want to be away in a hedge or a ditch, or, you know, wherever you can get it's as open as possible for the geese to, you know, be confident to come in. If you're in near a wood or something like that, they'll not have it. They'll stay 100 yards back. Pylons they don't like either. But yeah, if you're in a hide or you're in a ditch, keeping still and keep your face covered, keep your gun covered. Don't be waving your gun about, and just keep your head down and keep still, and hopefully everything goes right. I would say that those Silosocks are a good decoy just now. I mean, they've got a bit of movement in them. Even on a relatively flat, calm day, you'll get a bit of movement in the flock, and that's what you're needing. You need a bit of movement in the flock for the geese. I still use a lot of the foam ones as well. I've got some FUD ones there as well. Anything on a good day will work, but you can mix them up. I've never used plastic decoys for years, because if you get a damp morning and the sun comes up, it'll shine, and you use males standing out in the middle of the field with a bag because they'll not come in. So try and get the best decoys you can, but anything that's got a bit of movement. The geese get educated, and they're not daft, but if you get the right weather conditions and certainly don't overshoot them, the geese will come in. You'll get them to come to the decoys. There's more behind there. There's a bunch. Should leave those. Two coming, boys. Go on then, take it. Go on. Well, to begin with, you're wanting to try and get an attraction call out. It's like with the pink feet, it's wink, 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 wink. And then as they're getting closer, if they set their wings and that, you can do the feeding call, and just entice them in. Don't overcall them. Don't, if they're coming and they look like they're coming, give them 2 or 3 calls, and then if they're starting to set their wings, just let them come. A lot of folk overcall the geese, or they'll start doing the wrong call, giving the alarm call, and that's as much, you'll do as much harm with that as not calling. So you're better to be quiet and let them, just do an odd call now and again, and let them work to that.
David puts his calling knowledge to good use to call in one final flight.
They're all coming. Let them all in. Let them in. Go on then.
The second day is now all but over. It hasn't quite been the bag David and his guests had hoped for, but this is wild sport and wild quarry. Chances don't always come easy, and however good the preparation, Murphy's Law and Lady Luck still applies.
Stephen, just give me a little bit of background about yourself. You're obviously here goose shooting with David, but what do you do when you're at home? What kind of shooting do you do at home?
I'm in a couple of pheasant syndicates, sort of mid-Northumberland. One of them's a sort of Scots Gap area, and the other one is Morpeth. I do a little bit of deer stalking. A friend of mine, his brother-in-law is a professional stalker, Dalmally, west coast of Scotland. And obviously would fancy to go at the geese, I've watched the shooting show, and so basically some of the stuff that you've taken, hiding behind dry stone walls, and I thought, we'll have a bit of that. So I rallied some of the boys from the shoot, and here we are. Unfortunately, it wasn't the deer we were expecting, but you know, these things happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think
So was this your first go at geese?
first ever go at geese, yes.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes.
David there sharing his goose shooting tips with Devan and Byron. And now, the shooting show news.
This is the shooting show news. Councillor Tommy Woodward, an elected representative for Rydale District Council and Pickering Town Council in North Yorkshire, has received calls for resignation following comments he made on Facebook after the suicide of Alan Ellis in Lancashire. The animal rights activist wrote, "It is the best use of a gun I can think of," and followed it with, "If you choose to own a gun and kill for pleasure, then it's best you kill yourself." They were published on the Hunt Saboteurs Association Facebook page, which also features many other crass comments. Bask has asked Rydale District Council and Pickering Town Council to distance themselves from him. Chief Executive Richard Ali said that these Facebook comments and attacks show the true colours of some animal rights extremists, and they will be roundly condemned. Edgar Brothers and Zolly have signed talented young shot Taylor Hedgecock to a sponsorship package. The choice was made by Zolly brand ambassador Becky McKenzie, who has watched Taylor develop for years. She said he is composed, a good shooter, and definitely someone to watch. Taylor won Clay Shooting Magazine's British Schools and Young Shots Championship Under-14s category in 2011 and has won several Colts and Juniors competitions since then. He said he is pleased to have been picked to join Zolly and Edgar Brothers and that the Zolly Z Sport is soft in the shoulder and has already made a big difference. In response to offers of financial aid from the shooting community, the NGO has launched the NGO Fighting Fund, keeping wildlife licensing fair. Following Natural England's rejection of a buzzard control licence for gamekeeper McMahon, the NGO has pledged to financially support the case to clarify the law for shooters and to enable Mr McMahon access to justice. Lindsay Waddle, chairman of the NGO, said you can show your support for this landmark legal battle that centres on fairness for all by making a donation to the fund. All help, big or small, is greatly appreciated. To donate, please visit the website on screen now. The shooting community has criticised the RSPB for aligning itself with the extreme anti-field sports organisation LAX. A Rally for Nature event was held in London on Tuesday the 9th of December. The League Against Cruel Sports, the RSPB, Wildlife Trusts, the Ramblers and other wildlife groups were joined by Mark Avery and Bill Oddie for the event in a pre-election lobbying bid. The London Rally pressed for stricter wildlife crime laws and spoke out against the decline of the hen harrier. And finally, the Clay Shooting Classic will move dates in 2015. Traditionally held in the first week of June, it will move to the 24th to the 27th of June in 2015, and then to the 22nd to the 25th of June in 2016. Returning for its 23rd annual competition next year, the Clay Shooting Classic will boast a prize fund of over £35,000. The competition continues to have robust support from Zolly Shotguns and Edgar Brothers, and it will once again be organised by Steve and Alison Lovett of the Clay Shooting Company. For a full preview, don't miss the latest issue of Clay Shooting Magazine, out Thursday. That was the Shooting Show news.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And if you're not a member of Bask, it's time to join now. Bask, looking after your sport, looking after you.